It is Thursday, May 6th. It is time to get in the weeds. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is SP3. And SP3, we are going to go 5 hours today because I think every podcast should be 5 hours. Don't you agree?
I can only do one of those a week.
Well, what if we go 4 hours?
I can only do one of those a week.
All right, 6 hours.
No, I've never done 6 hours. So I cannot do that at all.
When we do our 24-hour live charity stream, you're going to be here for at least 6 hours, right?
No, I'll be here like 3 hour intervals.
3 hour intervals? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll come.
That's
I'll
fine.
come in around the 3 hour mark. I'll stay until the 6 hour mark. I'll be gone for 12 hours. I'll come back at the 18th hour and do 3 more hours, and then maybe y'all can get me for like the final hour.
All right. I don't know what I'm gonna try to do all 24 hours, and I don't know how I'm gonna pull that off. But
God bless you.
yeah, a lot of energy drinks, a lot of Red Bull and coffee, which I'm sure that will be great on my stomach. But I'll have to eat on air and everything. I have no idea when this is gonna happen. I feel like we've been talking about this for like a year and a half now, and it's just a matter of figuring out the timing with everything. But I still want to do it. I truthfully want to do it. It's difficult to lock down like when it can actually happen.
It's tough with the world how wrestling works. You can just make it like a watch along. You can choose a day
Oh
that's
yeah,
gonna
it
have
would
a
have
lot
to
of
be.
wrestling.
Yeah, it would have to be. I don't care about the wrestling, like whatever. It's more, family and kids and everything of like, all right, how can I effectively shirk all of my responsibilities for 24 hours to do this stream? And that's the difficult part. Like, I don't know if I can do it like when they're in school because I don't want to put all that on my wife. Of like, hey, yeah, you
That's
gotta
true.
do all the school runs and all their activities and stuff. Like, so it feels like it's got to be a summer thing, which summer's at
Yeah,
least coming up. Um,
this is true.
I yeah,
Could try
so
to do it. Could try to do it then.
eh, yeah, my lovely wife is of course saying like, like I will help you however you need it, and we'll do all of these things. Like I know she will, but I don't like putting all. She already does enough. Like I don't like putting all that
Yeah.
on her. Of like if I have a legitimate reason to do all of these things, but I don't feel like streaming for 24 hours is really that great of a reason.
Yeah, my missus would be like, hell to the no. She's like, you're not doing that.
My wife supports all of this for better or for worse. So like I know she will do it. But I just don't like putting all of that on her. But it, yeah, she mentions that Tony might actually come on the show, and that's a legitimate reason. That's I feel legitimately our best shot at Tony. If we tell him we are doing a 24-hour charity stream, it
Hmm.
feels like he would pop on for that. Now it might
Yeah.
be 4 in the morning, but I'll be here
He's
at
like,
four
we
in the
we
morning.
just came off a hell of a AEW Collision,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, I'll have to do it after a TV taping, and he'll be all juiced up after that. And just like, that was one of our best show ever. Like, it's
It's
so
one of the
great.
best shows ever. I know you guys were watching. Did you see Time Cop?
I'm gonna put these on the chat because it'll. Jules says Jeremy, your wife is an angel. Bless, absolutely, absolutely. And ITWGM is the glue for the show. Yes, I will say this a million times. Is she's the reason I'm able to do all of this, like whether it's the show, whether it's the writing or anything, because we got a lot of kids and they deserve way more attention than I'm often able to give them because of everything that I do. And so she has to do all of that. I support by working as hard as I do and providing in that way, but she has the much tougher job. I write about these idiots who say stupid things and wrestle for a living. She actually
Yeah.
has to do like real world work around here.
She has to
she's
do
the best.
the actual work, which is
Yeah, she's super
weird.
underpaid too.
Yeah.
Like she didn't get paid anything though. Just
They didn't ask her
love.
for pay cuts. She's lucky.
No, no, no.
Mm.
Nah, I can't cut her pay. I don't even know what that would look like. Like you get like 50% less hugs and appreciation every day. I don't even want to do that though. That's a pay cut for me,
Yeah,
Like
exactly. That's true.
yeah. Yeah, I like loving and appreciating her. So that doesn't work for anybody. King Potato saying shout out to the ITW GM. Yeah, she's the best. At some point we will. I'm not gonna pre-record anything. I'm not gonna pre-record random content. I want to do like a legitimate 24-hour stream. That's it. Like
Commend you.
I want to. I I don't know. I don't know how I'd pull it off, but I don't know. Maybe this summer I'll actually make plans to do this because I do think it would have to be a summer thing. I don't know when during this. When's like a slow period during the summer? Mid-August after SummerSlam, but
I guess
before
for All
Forbidden
In.
Door or All In. Yeah,
All
not
In.
Forbidden Door. All In.
Yeah.
Last year's schedule
Yeah.
screwing
You're
up my
thinking
schedule for this
2025.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking 2025.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would probably be the time to do it, or July. Even though they got to do Redemption. But
Yeah, I don't
think
know when Redemption
they
is.
ever have a show in July. I think only the Saturday night's main event from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my wife reminded me that school starts in mid-August now. I forgot these
Yeah.
kids like get out so early and go back.
That's
like,
why I was also suggesting that.
Yeah. Yeah. July makes more sense. I legitimately like I'm so used to because we didn't go back to school till like after Labor Day. It was September
Same,
for
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
But every year it always creeps up on me that they go back in mid-August. I'm like, how did that happen?
That
What?
is so cruel. That is so cruel. When did they make that change? That's still
I don't
summer.
know.
That's still
Yeah,
summer. What are
I'm
we
saying.
doing?
I'm saying.
School
Yeah,
should
so
not start until September.
Yeah.
Like that should be a rule.
Yeah, July might actually be the better play, but we don't know when the Redemption pay-per-view is, so it's tough to.
Probably the middle or end of July.
You think the middle or end of July? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they're going to give themselves like 5 weeks to build to All In.
All right. I can't do June because sports are on. Like
Exactly.
sports that I care about.
You're gonna be in the NBA finals, sir. So you gotta.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Hey,
I can't.
We all know one thing. There's one lesson to learn in life. If you know about us and our predictions on sports, it is TIS. Trust in Sid. Just TIS.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I can't do June because of my.
Hey,
my
you're
teams are still
seven. You're
alive.
7 wins away, sir. You're 7 wins away from the finals.
That's not true. Oh, to the
From the
finals.
finals, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
from the finals. All right. I thought you meant from a championship.
No,
Okay.
I said the final.
I
I said
mean-
you guys are going to be in the finals. I didn't say you guys
Oh.
are going to win the championship. Well, I did. I did say that, but
Yeah,
that
you
was
did say
that was a long time ago.
That was like 2 weeks ago when we did our playoff preview. You said that.
That too, but I also said this like in October.
Yeah, you said that at the beginning of the year.
I
Yeah.
also said this in June. I said this right after
Yeah.
y'all won the championship last year.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
you're probably gonna win next year too.
every team, the Spurs are 7 wins away. So are the Timberwolves. They're 7 wins away. So it's not like 7 wins is
Hey, yeah, the
that
Timberwolves,
close.
Yeah.
They're both 7
The
wins
Knicks
away.
are only six wins away.
Yeah. So I can't get that far ahead, but I have 2 teams that are very much alive, and so I can't plan anything for June. I was already looking at it because I want to go to. Sean is teaming with Steve, Dr. Death, not Dr. Death, Steve, at a show in Indiana, and they're probably gonna get killed because they're facing like deathmatch people, like John Wayne Murdoch, and.
Yikes.
But I want to go to that show. It's like 5 hours away, and I was looking to see. It's the same night as Night of Champions, but whatever. I don't care about Night of Champions. So it's the same day as that, but I was looking of like, I can't go to this game if, you know, it's a finals game on this day. Or I can't go to this wrestling event if it's a finals game on this day, you know. I'll skip the wrestling event. I don't care to watch this WWE event. But if my team is in the finals, I'm not going to this because I have to watch the finals. So I can't plan anything for like June because of that. So yeah, July. All right, as July gets closer, we'll see about doing a 24-hour live stream. It might happen. It might happen. We'll figure it out.
There we go.
Charity live stream.
There we go.
I gotta also make plans for like the news team to actually, you know, do stuff, because if I'm doing 24 hours,
you've written articles while you're on here, sir.
Oh no, it's not that. Like, yeah, I can write articles while I'm on here. That's not a big deal. One, I'm slower. Like, I can't do any like transcriptions or anything. Like, I can't listen to anything, obviously. No, it's not even like writing articles while I'm on here. Like, that's not the big deal. The big deal is I'm gonna need 24 hours off after I do this because I need to actually sleep. So that's gonna be the issue there. So it would probably have to be like, we have our most coverage on like a Monday and a Wednesday, so it might have to be like one of those days. That's
perfect. Those are days that I'm not supposed to be on here. So,
well, it's 24 hours. I mean, it would be a day you're supposed to be on here regardless. So, you know, it's not like you really avoid anything.
I'm gonna show up at 10 a.m. the next day. The 24-hour stream is gonna start at 10 a.m. on a Monday. I'm gonna show up on Tuesday at 10 a.m. So you're gonna do 26 hours. You're really gonna do 26?
No. I'm not gonna do 26 hours because I would not start it at like a 10 or a 12 or anything like that. I would probably start it at like 6, like 6 to 6 is what I would do, and then I would sleep immediately after, and then I'd get up at 10 and do the show the next day and go.
That makes sense.
Go for that. No. In the Weeds would not be late that day or anything. We would just continue on, and things would be fine. I don't know. Again, I gotta look at the.
I would show up at 10 a.m. then. I'll show up at 10 a.m. on that Tuesday. I'll do my regular show, and then I'll be out and be like, all right, man, I'll see you.
It says, absolutely, you're not sleeping 4 hours after 24. It's not 4 hours. If we did 6 to 6, I'd be sleeping from 6 to 10 the next day. That's
you'd be sleeping like 16
hours. Yes, 16. 16. Yeah,
10,
I'd be sleeping 16 hours. Yeah.
10 to 10 plus 4. Yeah. 16.
No, that's 18. 12 plus 4.
Yeah. No, 12 plus 4 is 16.
Is it?
Yes. What are we doing here?
I don't know.
I do addition with my daughter and son every day. I know,
you're right.
I started doing double figures now. So.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, folks. Sorry. Yeah, it'd be it'd be 6 to 6. That would probably be the way I would go. So, like, I feel like a Thursday or a Friday would probably work because nobody watches TNA, so who could possibly care if we did a show during that? Or NXT, that one would be like, all right, we do an NXT watch along and it'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even care if we do like a watch along, but you know, we'll just show up and do like something with NXT. So yeah, I'd have to get like people. Again, I'd have to get people like on for this thing.
Yeah.
As well. So yeah, I don't know. This is very early stages planning here. Although if I'm gonna do it, it might be in the next 2 months. So we'll see. I do want to do this though. Yeah, there's no In the Weeds on the weekend, but here's the thing: is like I actually like to take my breaks during the weekend, and so I don't really want to do. I don't like that. Feels like an additional day of work, and I don't want it to be like an additional day of work.
Me personally, I never feel like these shows are work. Anytime I'm on camera, even on True
No,
Hill
no,
Heat,
no.
even though I do a bunch of stuff on the back end, that doesn't me talking about wrestling on camera never feels like work to me.
That's fair. Like it doesn't. Like honestly, these shows are my break from all of my writing that I
Yeah.
do. What I mean by additional day of work is weekend. I really, unless it's a show event weekend, like I try to unplug from writing. I try to unplug from the shows and everything. So trying to do it on the weekend, like I would be on the computer the entire time. Like that's how it feels. Like an additional day of work. Like
Okay.
yes, none of this stuff is like really feels like work. Like I truly love what I do, especially this show, and any show. But I like to actually shut the computer every now and again, especially on the weekend, though.
Right.
And during the weekdays, like I feel like I barely shut the computer. Like I feel like I'm plugged in like the entire time. So the weekend, I actually like to shut down and unplug a little. My wife's gonna tell me like you don't actually do that. Like I know, but I try to pretend like I'm going to. And if I effectively have to have the computer open for 24 hours, that is not shutting down at all. So that's why I'd rather do it during the weekday is
Okay.
mainly so it to me, at least in my own head, I don't feel like I'm working as much, even though I'm literally doing a 24-hour stream. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes sense.
that's why I don't know about that's why I don't know about the weekend.
Yeah.
But that's it. Um,
I do. My work mainly when I do shows, especially on like True Hill Heat, is the stuff I do before the show actually starts. The show itself is not the work; it's the stuff I
yeah,
do beforehand. Like with True Hill Heat, if I do the agenda for the show and I upload pictures, and then for the reviews like AE Ramble and Rated Raw review, I upload pictures from the show. That type of stuff. That's actual work because I hate
yeah,
doing that stuff. This is why
yeah.
I was happy when Baby Seth used to do it for True Hill Heat, but he's taking a break and now I have to do it for that show too. I'm like, God damn, it's my one day a week I had off from doing all of that. Now I have to do it.
Like you saying, you can end on Friday and not have to worry about getting up on Saturday. But see that's the thing is I don't mind getting up and then like doing this show. Like I legitimately just like doing this show. So to me, if I do like 6 to 6 on any day during the weekday, and then I'm up and I have to do the show, like that, like yeah, I'm back on stream, but like I don't feel like that's work. I would rather just do this show because otherwise, what I do it Friday 6 to 6, and then Friday to Saturday, and then Sunday I wouldn't have to do anything. See that feels
And
like
you can sleep
a
longer.
eh. I'm not good at like sleeping that much. Though I mean, I'm sure I would after doing like 24 hours. I'm sure I would just sleep
Yeah,
anyway.
you would be like out.
But like I said, like if I do Friday to, so you said ends on Friday. All right, so started on Thursday, and then Friday. So start at Thursday night, and then go to Friday
So
into
it would basically
Friday night.
be a big spotlight into In the Weeds 24-hour stream.
Yeah, well, at least Jensen, yeah, at least I mean that covers part of the show. Is we would just
Mm-hmm.
basically do the spotlight for
Exactly.
starting at 6. Yeah, and then TNA. All right, a Thursday might work.
Yeah.
Thursday to Friday, 6 to 6. That might not
Watch Ring of
be.
Honor. Stop doing cold, Jesus.
A Thursday might work. Yeah, we would have TNA on. Yeah, 100%. We'd be counter programming Joel's post TNA review though. Oh no.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Do it, please.
Honestly, Joel should just do the TNA review as part of it. Like
Yeah, just jump on here and do it. Do a
yeah,
simulcast. I don't know,
yeah, exactly,
whatever you want to do.
exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we'd end on 6 o'clock on Friday, and
Mm-hmm.
then I could not watch SmackDown, and then I could just sleep. That's not the worst
So
idea in the world, I'm not mad at
So
this. All right.
I'm gonna prep you for the spotlight, because if you guys don't watch the spotlight, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. It's one of our best shows that we have here on the channel. But they talk about indie wrestling, because Steven Jensen is the best when it comes to talking about indie wrestling. And I've watched a bunch of indie wrestling this week. I watched the GCW One Night Only show from
Yeah, we're talking about that
Arena.
later on. Yeah.
I was gonna call it the ECW Arena, but
I
2300 Arena. Yeah, I know. And I also watched the Progress Wrestling Super Strong Style 16
Okay.
day 1 and day 2. Really good stuff. I've been liking my indie wrestling binging that I've been doing this week. But the GCW One Night Only show, probably the most mainstream that GCW has looked. Even though they had 2 shows in Hammerstein Ballroom, it never looked as pretty and as like just great production as this show did. This show felt like GCW felt like actual mainstream instead of like the independent company it usually is.
Guys, if you're 20 minutes in here, leave a thumbs up on the video. Fireworks don't feel like working, just the subliminal messaging. There we go. Leave a thumbs up on the video. Leave a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. All that fun stuff. Subscribe to the channel. As SP3 mentioned, we got plenty of shows here, including the Spotlight tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern with myself and Steven Jensen. We got Coexisting with Rob and Maggie on Fridays, and we got Coast to Coast with JPJ and Collins on Sundays. And then myself, SP3, and Joel are here every single weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern in about 35 minutes, because I'm bad at math. In about 35 minutes, we are scheduled to be joined by Trevor Lee from MLW. They got their Chattanooga debut this weekend. So we're going to be talking to Trevor about MLW. He was part of the Wednesday Night Wars. As you learned last week, SP3 and I are going to be putting together a Wednesday Night Wars documentary in the coming years to as we interview a bunch of different people from the war. So we're going to talk to him about that. I want to talk to him about North Carolina delicacies like Bojangles and Cookout. So we'll be talking about that. And I
want to talk to him about GameStop stock exchange.
Yeah.
That's what I want to talk to him about.
Looking forward to talking with Trevor. Should be a good time. Trevor was a guy that I specifically requested if we could get him on the show, because MLW usually comes to me, and a lot of times they ask like, hey, who do you want? And a lot of times they're just like, hey, do you want this person? And I like everybody they offer, so I'm like, yes. But Trevor was somebody who I was like, can we get Trevor? And they were like, yes. So looking forward to talking with Trevor. We got AEW Dynamite to review as well, and that's it. Ted Turner passing away.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah.
Ted Turner, the pioneer, made a whole generation of fans. R.I.P. Ted Turner.
Yeah. Mike is saying you should schedule Wednesday Night Wars interviews during the 24-hour stream. But I would love to schedule as many interviews as I could during the 24-hour stream, because that means less talking and work for me. Although I guess it's still kind of work for me, because like I got to ask questions and stuff, because I know Joel's not going to do the full 24 hours. You're not doing the full 24 hours. Jensen's not doing the full 24. Like, nobody's going to do the full 24 hours, but I got to get people who will kind of come in waves here. But I know there's going to be...
Shifts.
Yeah, but I know there's going to be, like, just me oos for many of these hours. And so I don't want it to be just me for all of these hours. So, yeah, I got to get, like, different guests and stuff on. So yeah, we'll figure people out. I don't want to ask people to do 2 or 3 hour blocks. I mean, I ask like my friends, but I'm gonna ask like guests to do this. Louis, come on the show and review NWA Power during this stream. How about that?
It was bad. End of the review.
No, Louis does a full on review, 2.5 stars, brother. Louis actually takes notes and does a full ass review.
And people say I watch all of wrestling. That's watching all of wrestling.
For better or for worse, Louis does a full review of NWA Power.
I did drop my star ratings on my Twitter yesterday.
Okay. Well, for NWA Power.
No, not for NWA Power.
Okay.
I'm just talking about all the real wrestling that I watch, not the stuff I don't watch. I'm not gonna do that. That'd be disrespecting the sanctity of the star ratings. If I was star rating stuff I don't watch.
Volub sends a super chat. It says Ted Turner gave me Cartoon Network. No billionaire gave me more than Ted. R.I.P. So we'll kind of jump into the Dynamite review here, and then we'll probably be interrupted by Trevor. But we'll start with how Dynamite started, and that was the tribute to Ted Turner as Tony Schiavone came out and discussed Ted passing, but also what he meant to wrestling and how none of us would be here if it wasn't for Ted Turner. And certainly wrestling would not be on TNT and TBS without Ted Turner. And also Tony Khan. Please remember that Tony Khan was part of this as well. And he said that Ted Turner loved the wrestling fans, just like Tony Khan loves the wrestling fans.
Okay, all right. It wasn't like but yeah, Sting came out. Sting making an appearance. That was some fun seeing Sting, and it made a lot of sense. He was one of the mainstays, one of the faces of WCW during the Turner years. It was very classy tribute to Ted Turner, and kind of touching on his contributions. And yeah, he's a guy that deserves all of the kind of phrases that have been said about him in the past 24 hours. He's a legend. He's a pioneer, a trailblazer. He's someone that had a genuine love for pro wrestling that has kind of had a ripple effect across the industry as well as the fans. I know me personally, I always tell this story that, yes, I was introduced to professional wrestling through WWF, but I used to go to my grandmother's house every weekend, and because my mom used to work, and my grandmother was an triple OG wrestling fan. And she told me, she was the first person that taught me the difference. I think I was like maybe like 3, 4, 5 years old. And she taught me the difference between WWF at that time was wrestling. But she used to put on the twang and say, now we're going to watch wrestling. You want to watch wrestling? Wrestling 605. She's like, we used to watch WWF Superstars like in the morning or early afternoon on a Saturday. And then in the evening, 605, she used to turn on TBS and she showed me wrestling, which was WCW. And that's how I discovered Sting with the blonde hair. I discovered Big Van Vader, Cactus Jack, Stunning Steve Austin, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair, all these guys that I became huge fans of. And it all started with watching, Turner Broadcasting station with TBS, with WCW Saturday Night, and all the other names that it was under. And then, of course, as I got older, the Monday Night War started with TNT and WCW Nitro, and got to see Hulk Hogan make the jump over and become such a big part of there. I got to see Macho Man jump over and become a big part of their NWO and everything that has been talked about for years and years upon years. So Ted Turner is so important to the fabric and what my professional wrestling fandom has become there, where I became a genuine fan of all of professional wrestling instead of just one promotion. It was because Turner had the love for professional wrestling, despite a lot of his advertisers, a lot of the people within his company not thinking that wrestling was that attractive to the ad sales, that wrestling was kind of low budget for what he was trying to get with his channel. He still had that love for pro wrestling and kept it on his stations for years and years and years, and it's definitely had an influence on my fandom. So RIP to Ted Turner.
I think most people know. If you don't know, you're about to know. Like, I grew up a WCW kid. WCW was the first promotion that I watched. I discovered wrestling as my dad was flipping through channels, and it was Clash of Champions, and it was Ric Flair and Arn Anderson against Vader, and I was like, what is this? And he kept it on, and we watched it. World War III 95 was the first pay-per-view that I attended. I attended way more WCW events than WWE events because I lived in Virginia, and Virginia was a WCW territory, not a
Hotbed.
WWE. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up a WCW kid, and I preferred WCW to WWE for most of the 90s, and even the bad stuff on WCW I loved more than the WWE stuff. And obviously I talked a little bit about it yesterday, but Ted Turner's influence in wrestling can be really understated, because without him there is no Monday Night Wars, and without the Monday Night Wars, who knows where wrestling is at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And Sting, he, as you mentioned, he came out and he said, the advertisers don't like it, the ratings are down, like we're losing money and whatever, and they want me to pull the show, and I ain't do it. I got deep pockets, so don't worry about a thing, Stinger. And yeah, hell yeah, Ted Turner, just a billionaire who just loved his sports and wrestling. Gotta respect it.
Did.
If I was a billionaire, that's what I'd be doing as well. Like, all
Love
right,
sports, wrestling, and cartoons. He gave us Cartoon Network. He gave us the Atlanta Braves on TBS. That's how I learned about the Braves and Yankees rivalry. And yeah, for me, I grew up in New York, so I mostly I never was able to go to a WCW show because they never came to New York when I was growing up. But yeah, I just fell in love with it from just watching it, because it felt different. It felt kind of gritty, kind of dirty, and I think that's what's attracted it to me, where I really got like the essence of what wrestling was before the term sports entertainment became a thing for WWE. It did feel like it was a different like entertainment style, whereas WCW felt like genuine, like heart of America type of pro wrestling. And like the matches I saw with like Big Van Vader and Cactus Jack, and that's what made me kind of like even like pop as a kid and be excited for seeing like people like Mankind come into WWE, because I'm like, that's Cactus Jack, I remember telling my mom, I was like, Cactus Jack has got a mask on and he's in WWE now. So yeah, I remember when Big Van Vader came over and attacked Gorilla Monsoon. I was like, I've been scared of Vader for years. This is awesome. So yeah, I got to become like fans of just so many different wrestlers that probably wouldn't even get a look in WWF, but WCW had a different style altogether. And yeah, even the bad stuff kind of stand out to me, like RoboCop and the Shockmaster. And the Shockmaster. All those things really kind of created a different type of love of pro wrestling. And I think that's what made me learning about WWF, being from New York and being able to go to like Madison Square Garden shows and go to stuff live since I was like 6 years old. And then seeing WCW on TV made me even more open to probably my favorite promotion as a kid was ECW, because that was like, oh, I have to stay up late for this. Oh, I have to go past my bedtime on Saturday and watch this. So like WCW, it kind of like created a whole different type of love and genuine connection to pro wrestling for me.
All of this to say thank you, Tony Khan.
Also, thank you, Tony Khan. We have a billionaire nowadays that goes all in on pro wrestling.
I could have lived without like so much Tony love during this. Like, I'm glad Tony and Sting love Tony in AEW, but I was like, shouldn't this be a little bit more about Ted instead of turning everything back into Tony Khan is great, and now we must praise him the same way we praised Ted Turner as well. I'm glad they did this. I'm glad they did pay tribute to Ted Turner. I don't expect WWE to do this. I know people are...
They should.
Oh, I 100% agree. I think I'm of two minds if Vince was still there. One would say no, Vince isn't going to acknowledge him. Two would say Vince would acknowledge him and then close it with, and then I bought WCW and I put Ted Turner out of business. And that is how we are ending this thing. But now I kind of feel like they won't, because it'll just be like, why acknowledge that? Like, why touch on that? I think they will give him a graphic on SmackDown. I think they will do at least a graphic to start the show. I don't think we're going to get like any video package. I definitely think we're going to get like wrestlers on the stage and 10-bell salute and all of that stuff. But they didn't even put out like a statement.
JDP is out of business. We ain't doing that. That's what Triple H is going to tell his creative team.
Like they didn't even put out like a statement or anything. They didn't put anything on socials. Like they didn't do anything for it. I felt like they should have done something. But my expectation when it comes to WWE is very, very low. And I certainly,
especially nowadays.
Yeah, I certainly have no expectation when it comes to something like this, because they like acknowledging the competition when they can bury the competition. You know, they don't want to acknowledge it in almost a good way of what Ted Turner actually meant to wrestling. It'll just be like, yeah, they tried to put us out of business, and you know that Ted Turner was evil. Like that was legitimately their talking point during the Monday
Night
Wars.
Billionaire Ted.
Yeah,
the Billionaire Ted sketches. I remember those.
Yeah, they wanna put us out of business over here. Like, oh, I'm backed into a corner, and a terrible talking point when it came to that. But that was the mindset back then. So yeah, they really don't pay attention to WCW. Like, when have they ever like propped up WCW and made it anything more than almost a punchline that they put out of business? Even the people they brought in from WCW, most of them didn't have the same success. They buried all of them when they came in. So I just don't expect them to do anything. A graphic is the bare minimum, right? Like, throw a graphic to start the show.
I think that's the best. That's the best we can ask for, and then you'll see a whole bunch of WWE fans be like, "See how classy they are?
Yeah,
they put up the graphic for him."
That's always fun. Yeah. Maybe Tessitore says something on commentary, and that's about it. But I don't expect much out of them. I hope they do something, but I'm not expecting anything out of it. I hope they thank Tony Khan as well.
They thank the overlords of Endeavor for buying them, so we didn't have to wind up like WCW.
Oh yeah, they gotta make this about like TKO and stuff. Like, yeah, there was one billionaire and he went out of business because he had other ventures that he cared more about than wrestling. But now we have billionaires like Nick Khan who are all in on wrestling. And Nick only cares about the fans and bringing in the most money for the fans.
And that's why Nick Khan is getting a 50% pay raise.
Nick Khan is the only Khan in wrestling that you should care about. Thank you, Mark Shapiro.
Thank you, Ari Emanuel. Come on, guys. Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Ari.
And thank you, Netflix chant on USA Network. I don't. Who would do? Like let's say again. I don't believe they're gonna do this. I know you don't believe they're gonna do this either. But who would do like a speech to remember Ted Turner? Because Tony Schiavone obviously made a lot of sense for AEW. Yeah. Joel and I talked about that yesterday of like, oh yeah, Schiavone will do it, assuming Jim Ross isn't there, which I didn't think he would be. And even if Jim Ross was there, it still always was going to be Schiavone. Sting was a nice surprise. I didn't really expect to see him. Mm-hmm. But he was actually doing promotion for this show beforehand. So I don't know if he was...
He did an interview about Kevin Knight and Darby, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if like he was always planned to be part of this, but Sting typically just doesn't do random promotions for episodes of Dynamite. So maybe he was always supposed to be there since they were in Charleston. Uh, so yeah, Sting was a nice surprise. Shivani again made sense. Oh, Cody would do a speech. Yeah, it would be Cody, wouldn't it?
Either Cody or Booker T.
Booker T makes the most sense as far as like who actually was there and had like ties and everything. Yeah, but Cody would actually just be the person to do it because he's Cody.
Yeah. Cody would be the Sting. He'd come out and be the one who's giving the real tribute. So
yeah, it would probably be Cody. That's a good call. Yeah, I was trying to actually think of someone who was there. At Booker, who else? Is there anybody? Regal posted something on socials.
So Regal makes sense. Booker is the one who feels like the biggest star from WCW that's still with the company.
Yeah. Ryan saying Diamond Dallas Page. I guess they could fly him in.
Fly him. I don't think they're gonna fly anybody in for this. No. I'll be honest. Like,
I'm trying to think if there's any like legend that they could bring in to do it. Either Tenay, they just randomly get Tenay.
I mean, to be fair, someone saying Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash just buried WWE.
Yeah.
After Mania weekend, they ain't calling him. Ric Flair works for AEW, so if they were gonna, they would have called him to be a part of that. Eric Bischoff makes sense. Bischoff's willing to take the check.
Yeah. Kevin Nash
Rey
would be hilarious.
Rey Mysterio was never really that big of a star. It's not someone that you think of. Like at this point of his career, there's not a lot of people that think of, oh, Rey Mysterio, WCW. Even though his best like in-ring years were in WCW, he was never that big of a star for them.
Yeah. Kevin Nash would be hilarious. It'd never be Nash at this point, but it would be absolutely hilarious if it was Nash. Waltman wasn't there that long, though.
No, he was there for a cup of coffee, basically.
Yeah,
he was there 1996 to the end of 97, basically.
Yeah, Arn, you could do Arn.
Arn Anderson makes sense. That makes sense, and that'd be the correlation with Cody. Here's like, someone else who was there, but he was in the back. He was in the backstage area as a kid, and now he's the WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. Get my Glock. I'm gonna do the pyro. Oh!
Arn Anderson turning it into a "Thank you, Cody" speech would be hilarious.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Cody.
Cody would be who would end up being, honestly, because he'd talk about Dusty. He'd probably talk about, maybe Dustin. I don't know if he can like actually reference Dustin, but he'd at least
my
talk
brother
about
was there.
They
just say like that. Yeah. My brother was there.
Michael Hayes. Okay, all right.
Yeah, you get Michael Hayes. He'd be like, doop 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 doop. I was with the Freebirds. We were doing some great things.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the Michael Hayes suggestion.
Doop, doop, doop,
doop. Nick Khan using an AI filter as Dusty Rhodes.
I can see them doing that.
I think most of the people who they could like potentially get have unfortunately passed away too. Oh, because like Nick Hogan, he appeared on WCW TV, so
he did.
Yeah,
he did.
And technically, it could work.
It's like my wrestling debut was on WCW television.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like, yeah, everybody's either like kind of passed away or under AEW contract. Because I was thinking of, like Paul White and obviously Sting, Flair, and they're all. Or then the other names were like Heenan. Yeah, and Charlotte was on WCW TV.
Yeah, she got her WCW started. It's just gonna be a whole bunch of people who have like very vague connection to WCW.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be a whole group of people coming out for that.
I think Nash would be the most hilarious suggestion, though. Like, go there, say what you want. He's like, yeah,
He was like, I used to
Ted
love
paid me,
WWE.
brother.
They paid me. They never asked me to take a pay cut.
Yeah. In fact, if someone came in and was making more than me, I got a raise.
I got a raise every single time. If Nick Khan was getting a 50% pay raise, so was I.
And that should absolutely be hilarious if it was him. That's why they'd never give him the mic. It'd be Triple H as Terror Rising just coming out there.
No, it'll be him as John Paul LaFeck.
Yeah,
Y'all remember he was John Paul LaFeck? He was in the Blue Bloods.
Oh,
with
right.
with Dave Taylor.
Yeah. Norman Smiley. Okay. Norman Smiley's not a bad shout. I mean, he's not like a big star or anything, but
he works with the company.
Yeah, he works with the company. They should do David Arquette, former WCW champion.
Oh, Braun Breaker bringing out the Steiners.
I don't know if they want to give Scott a live mic either. It should be okay. Hold on. It should be Triple H, Undertaker, Austin, and they all come out and they're like, "Yeah, we worked for WCW, and they fumbled us, and then we came here to WWE and we crushed them and we put them out of business." That's the legacy of Ted Turner, fumbling 3 of the biggest stars of all time.
Cheers to you, Big Ted.
That's what it should be. Triple H like, yeah, they made me a blue blood. Like, didn't you start as in WWE kind of as like a blue blood? Yeah, that was terrible too.
Yeah, that was bad too. They should have just let me be the game. I've always been the game. They just needed to let me do me.
Yeah, at that point, just have Heyman out there. Yeah, Heyman would be
with the big cell phone. Dangerous Alliance.
Unfortunately, they're not going to do anything. They'll do maybe a graphic. Maybe. Don't get your hopes up.
That's the least they can do, I guess.
I mean, that's the very least they can do, and I don't even expect that. I
Bare
truly
minimum.
don't. Yeah, I truly don't think they're going to do even a graphic, honestly.
No.
So that's how Dynamite opened. Again, tribute to Ted Turner. Thank you, Tony Khan. And then let's skip to the only important match on this show. Kevin, we'll hold that because I don't want to cut into the MJF stuff when Trevor.
And there's a lot of stuff with Darby. Darby is pretty much Darby on the AEW World Title picture is pretty much the only thing worthwhile to talk about on the show.
Yeah. Chris Jericho and the Demand. We'll get this out of the way. Chris Jericho and the Demand are going to do a Stadium Stampede match. Yep. You guys realize like it's Stadium Stampede because like Louis Armstrong Stadium, it's not like an arena. So it's basically Anarchy in the Arena, but they're calling it Stadium Stampede because it's a stadium. I just don't want people to get the impression that it's going to take place at like a football stadium, like, or anything like that. It's Anarchy in the Arena, but Louis Armstrong Stadium.
They've done this before. They did this at the, what was it? I think it was the first All In.
It was the first All In.
They did a Stadium Stampede then. Yeah, this is what they do. If it's
I know, but
it's Anarchy in the Arena. If it's stadium, it's Stadium Stampede. I just don't think that this is what they need.
No, this is stupid.
This is not the feud to do Stadium Stampede. Like, what are we doing? Like, honestly, like you had the perfect opportunity. You have the perfect story for it with the whole Deaf Riders and the Ops being the guys who are Xing the cute girl to the City Hawkins dance in Will Ospreay and trying to get him a part of their gang, and then it should lead to a big stadium stampede between the Deaf Riders and the Ops, with probably Ospreay being forced to team with the Ops Ops, or maybe a three-way with the United Empire coming in, and it's United Empire, the Ops, and the Death Riders in Stadium Stampede. Instead, we have to deal with Chris Jericho getting a spotlight matchup at Double or Nothing. Like, it wasn't enough that he got 20 minutes with Ricochet at Dynasty? No, we got to do freaking Double or Nothing, the Stadium Stampede, the key matchup, one of the draws of the Double or Nothing pay-per-view is Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede, and here we are giving it to Jericho because he created the matchup. He created it. It wasn't enough that he created Money in the Bank and we had to hear that for years. Now he created Stadium Stampede.
I thought they were gonna do Money in the Bank when he said a match you created, but never won. I was like, oh shit, they're bringing Money in the Bank to AEW.
And he did win the second Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
Against the Pinnacle.
Yeah. I thought they were gonna do Money in the Bank because I didn't even think about Stadium Stampede. I was like, I guess Jericho created that. I don't know. And I guess he's credited for it. Sure. Why not? They do this, and it's so I want to clarify that. Yeah, I know it's Stadium Stampede for the reason that they're in a stadium, but I did see people of like, why are they doing a pre-tape match on this pay-per-view? Like, where are they going to film this at? So people are confused that they think like it's going to take place at like a football stadium type of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna say what my mind initially wanted to say.
What's the nice comment then?
That's the nice comment.
Oh,
what I just said. That's the nice comment. What I really wanted to say:
anything.
Those people are stupid and don't have good memories and can't remember that they did this at All In 2023, where they had a Stadium Stampede, which is basically Anarchy in the Arena, except they're in a freaking stadium. If you don't understand the difference here, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I think people get confused though, and I'm not going to shame anybody for a bad memory. That's my MO. I think people get confused though, because it's easy to remember that like Wembley Stadium is a stadium. Like Louis Armstrong Stadium is kind of a stadium in the same sense that what's the venue in the other venue in New York, the tennis arena? Yeah, Arthur Ashe is a stadium where like it's still like 20,000, and so people just don't equate stadium as 20,000. They think stadium, they think 80,000. And that is just a hold people have. They think 20,000, they think, okay, that's an arena. 80,000 is a stadium. So because Louis Armstrong is like a 20,000 venue, nobody thinks of that as like an actual stadium.
I think it's like 14,000.
Yeah, so again, like nobody thinks of it as like a stadium. They think it's more of an arena. And so that's where the confusion comes in. At least that's what I think the confusion comes in.
Fair. I apologize.
I'm gonna give wrestling fans some credit, which
fair.
Yeah. Our guest is here. If he's ready, he can give a thumbs up, and we will bring him on. All right, folks. You know him as Trevor Lee on the independent scene in MLW, where MLW will head to Chattanooga this weekend, May 9th. Chattanooga, Tennessee, the debut. You might know him as Cameron Grimes from WWE. He is the one, the only Trevor Lee. Trevor, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you joining us. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask the poll question right away. I don't know if you can see it there, but I'll read it for you. Bojangles or Cookout? Trevor, I know you're a North Carolina boy just like me, so I have to ask this.
That's a really good question. And I think there should be like a follow-up question, because the follow-up question is, what time of the day is this question
fair.
being
You know what?
asked,
That's actually
right?
very
Because-
fair. Yeah.
Because if it's earlier in the day, then Bojangles is going to take the cake, because they're always serving breakfast, right? So you can get a Bowberry biscuit, you can get a sausage biscuit, a steak biscuit. But once Bojangles closes, that's when Cookout comes out and thrives. Now, if you're getting later in the night, maybe you had some late night plans, and now it's, let's say, like midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Cookout is always going to come in clutch. But, if I think I'm going to take the deciding factor, I'm probably going to go with Bojangles as my number one.
That's fair. That's fair. I moved to Ohio not too long ago, and that's like the biggest thing I miss from North Carolina is Cookout and Bojangles being like 5 minutes away from me.
Yeah, it's a problem here in Florida as well.
Do you have a Cookout
Yeah.
order?
My cookout order would be the big double tray, add bacon, and then for my two sides, I would go with two bacon wraps, no
Hell yeah.
lettuce, and then let's just go ahead and throw on a huge tea while we're there.
Okay, you're going tea instead of the
Yeah.
milkshake.
Yeah, the milkshakes, they're okay, right? Like that's not my style. I really like their milkshakes, don't get me wrong, but you can't really drink them. It's more of like a
Yeah.
scoop and eat milkshake. It's more of like a sundae where, when I want my milkshake, I want to be able to just sip it out the straw. And you're
Yeah.
not getting
No.
that at cookout.
No. It's very thick. Yeah.
Yeah, oh
No,
yeah,
I
very
hear you.
thick.
Yeah, the Bojangles sweet tea is probably what I miss most from
A
North Carolina.
nectar. Yeah,
Yeah.
nectar of the gods.
Yeah, I go back to North Carolina now, and like my body rejects it because it's been so long, and it's
Oh
very
no.
upsetting. Yeah, it's the most upsetting thing. All
Yeah.
right, Trevor. MLW Chattanooga this weekend. How's things been with MLW so far, and what can fans expect this weekend in Chattanooga?
So far, so good with MLW. It's been great. And, I believe this is our first time in Chattanooga, Tennessee, our first time doing tapings, I think, at that venue and everything. So it's going to be very exciting. I've actually never wrestled in Chattanooga either. So it'll be my first time wrestling in Chattanooga. So that's also exciting. But as far as MLW has been going, it's been going great. You know, uh, the episodes haven't aired yet, but I am the Southern Crown champion. So that will be happening. Oh, spoiler.
Yeah. Don't get yelled at. I got yelled at for spoiling Shotzi was a champion. So
Oh, sorry. Blame
let
it
the
on me.
record
Blame it on
show
me.
Trevor said that, not
He
me.
did it.
Spoiler. Yeah, sorry, spoiler. Uh, but so we will be excited to be there this weekend. It should be a great time.
So you recently went to Mexico, Arena Mexico. I saw your matchup teaming with Austin Aries against Soberano Jr. and Angel de Aurora. Great matchup, by the way. How was that crowd? Because everybody, I saw you yourself even tweeted out how that crowd was so loud, and it was one of the best crowds you've been in front of. So how was that experience?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. We had 5 nights down in Mexico this past weekend from Friday to Tuesday, and it wasn't just Arena Mexico that was rocking. Every single crowd that week was absolutely awesome. The Mexican fan base is so passionate and so just like fired up to be there that it was so incredible. But that night that you're mentioning, Friday night in Arena Mexico, sold out. Arena Mexico, 15,000 people, and I wasn't too familiar with Sabanero Jr., but it only took about 30 seconds being out there after he was announced to realize that, holy crap, we have a star on our hands in Sabanero Jr. And man, that crowd would not stop screaming for him. I genuinely had to cover my ears because it was so loud. I've wrestled in front of 65,000 people before, but that 15,000 in Arena Mexico was deafening. It was incredible.
So SP3 and I, we're making a documentary on
Okay.
the Wednesday Night Wars, and
Okay.
you're part of this. So I just want to know kind of what the vibes were like at that time when you guys are going to TV, AEW is going to TV. What's it like backstage when all of these changes are happening?
Yeah, it's the same as it is even now. Like it doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday night war, if it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it doesn't matter. When Trevor Lee's on a show, I'm very passionate, right? So for instance, a couple years ago on those Wednesdays, I was very passionate that I wanted to beat the other brand, and that continues over now into MLW. Like when I'm going out there and I'm wrestling for MLW, I had that same passion, and I want to be able to show that we can compete against any brand. It doesn't matter where it's at. We're going to be ready to go, and that's the same feelings that we had on those Wednesday nights as well.
So
You were
yeah,
the first. Sorry,
Go
SP3.
ahead, Jeremy.
You were the first like men's singles match on during the USA Network era.
Oh, that's great. I didn't quite know that. What was the match?
You and Sean Maluda. You won very
Oh, okay.
quickly. Yes.
Yeah, very easy, very easy. Yeah, now
Yeah.
that you mention it, yeah, I do remember that. I didn't know that was our first episode though. That's really cool. Yeah, that was really cool. It was a great time to be able to, establish my finisher, the cave in. I would say probably the best finish, in the business, but we don't have to go there right now. But that was a great time to be able to showcase that and to show that, that this match can end at any point. And that continues to carry over. So, maybe this Saturday in Chattanooga, it could end that quick, but I don't want to do that to the fans.
But around that time, that's when you really kind of like broke out in NXT and had that kind of personality that made you one of the best characters. And one of my favorite character moments of your career is when you became the richest man in NXT. Like that character was awesome. Who came up with the idea to kind of relate it to the whole GameStop stock rise and you becoming rich because of that?
Yeah, so that was 100% my idea, and it really became because like it did happen.
Yeah.
I really did do well at that time. The AMC trade was happening, the GameStop trade was happening, Dogecoin, that was when it first really started popping off. So that was a big thing that kind of helped pitch the idea as well because if you follow my career, I was the Carolina Caveman, and I had always kind of joked about like what the next iteration of that character would be, and I always kind of joked like, wouldn't it be funny if like the caveman just kind of like got rich one day? But it was always just kind of a joke. But then when that stock stuff started happening, I did do well in that, so I sent screenshots to the writer of NXT at the time, and I was like, look, here it is. Here's the evidence. And they were like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. And at first they said, let's give it a shot for a couple weeks. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't work. And then I think after about a couple weeks, they go, you know what? I think we're going to bring in Ted DiBiase and let's just see. And it was again another thing. We'll bring him in for a week and let's see if it works. And then we ended up doing some pretty good stuff with that. And that's kind of like the most talked about thing about my character now was that start of that run of the Cameron Grimes character. So it ended up being pretty cool.
Another thing that people hopefully remember from the NXT run, I certainly remember it because it is right up my alley of fun and campy kind of stuff. But the Haunted House of Terror match with Dexter Lumis, what was it like putting that together?
That was a lot of fun, right? Because that was the first time that I had done like a cinematic style match, if you will. Where it was kind of shot like a movie, right? So that was also the first thing that like Triple H was very hands-on with. He was very invested in that match, and just like it not being super cheesy because it is, like you said, it is a very campy idea, right? A very kind of cheesy idea, but we were able to still kind of do it in a way that still kind of had some realism, if you will, right? And then all of that accumulated back in the what did they call the PC at the time? Did they have a name for the
the Capitol Wrestling Center.
CWC? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the CWC. So it all ended back up in the CWC, where the finish of the match happened with me and Dexter Lumis. But yeah, it was so cool because Dexter Lumis, I mean, if you've ever seen any of his artwork, like he's an incredible artist. So then you have to apply that to his imagination as well, like his creativity as well. So like it was just such a fun process, like to be able to kind of work through that together and kind of make that like campy horror movie feel, but also in a wrestling match. Like it was very cool to just step out the box and not have to worry about like drop down, leapfrog, arm drag. It was how is Loomis going to bust through this door and look like Freddy from whatever, right? I'm Jason Voorhees. I'm not a good horror guy. I got all their names wrong. Yeah.
Oh, so around like the time when you are about to win the North American Championship, you had like the character change going from Carolina caveman to the richest man in NXT to more like accustomed to like who you really are. How was kind of that transition point in that time? Because that's around the same time when they made the transition from NXT to NXT 2.0, and you were one of like the veterans on that roster.
Yeah. So they do want to pull back a little bit on like so much of the money stuff, right? Because a lot of my character, if you will, is very relatable to people. My father was a single father that raised me. He was also a wrestler himself. He started a mega championship wrestling with Matt Hardy back in the 90s. So my fondest memories were being in the wrestling ring. I used to go to kindergarten, and I was known as the kid in school that had a wrestling ring in his yard because it was a very small town. So, like, if you passed my house and saw a wrestling ring, people asked questions. And that wrestling ring hosted a lot of guys that made some pretty good careers in professional wrestling. If you look at any of the guys that came out of North Carolina around that time, they trained in my yard, and they trained with me as a toddler in my yard. So, me and my father grew up side by side, in kind of poor conditions. But that didn't stop us, right, from continuing to chase the dream. And the dream was for me to be able to make it in wrestling like my neighbors, Matt and Jeff Hardy. So it was very cool to be able to make it to the WWE. But unfortunately, when that happened, my father passed away, and the last thing that I got to tell him was that I made it to the WWE. So that was pretty cool, that I got to tell him that. But it also sucked. It was kind of hard. So the next iteration of the Cameron Grimes character was kind of like opening that story up to the people and allowing people to, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not attached to me, but like, kind of
Connect.
sympathize with me. Yeah, like connect with
Yeah.
me because not everybody can connect with like just striking it rich, right? Like hitting the lottery. Basically, that's what I did. It was a lottery type thing. It wasn't like I was skilled in stock trading or anything like that. I just literally, it was a scratch off ticket. I just picked one and it worked. So that kind of helped, the people, because at first, like, the Cameron Grimes character was a bad guy. Like, I was more of like flaunting that success. So then to be able to tell that story, it really helped kind of get people on my side, and really help that babyface character, that not going to give up, the heart character. So it was cool to be able to share that, and to be able to idolize my father in a light like that, and to be able to have that moment.
Do you still have the $1 million championship?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Not the exact one that they keep in the vault, but I do have a version of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to go down, I assume, as the final $1 million
Final.
championship
Yeah.
champion. So
Fingers
hey, that's-
crossed, right?
yeah, unless they bring it back, they could always
Yeah.
just do that. But for now, you are. So I don't know. That's a pretty sweet honor.
Yeah.
Did you grow up a WCW kid, being in North Carolina?
No, not really. So when I was a kid, I would really just kind of watch the Hardy Boys. I only really cared about their matches, because the close proximity. So yeah, I really only cared about the Hardys at the time. So I was really only like a WWE or WWF fan. My father, though, he watched it all. But just like as a kid with a short memory and a short attention span, I just kind of would watch the guys that I wanted to see, and then run off and go jump into the walls or something.
Oh, and how was it? Because you say you like grew up with those guys. How was it being in like TNA before your WWE run, and being able to work with them when they kind of like revitalized their career with the whole Broken Universe, and then you got to be a part of a couple of those like tag team Apocalypto and everything going on at House Hardy? How was that experience for you?
Yeah, now that you mention it, that was actually the first cinematic experience I had, was the tag team Apocalypto with Matt and Jeff Hardy. So yeah, that was really cool. And it was really cool to be able to go to TNA at that time because at the time, not only was Matt and Jeff Hardy there, but also Hurricane Shane Helms was there. He was there as kind of working as a producer. He actually brought me in as well as like his protege. That's what kind of led into that X Division title run. So it was very cool. It was very cool to be able to just like experience television at that age as well. Because at the time, I was doing Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. I was doing, all these major indie companies, that, if you will. So it was cool to be able to now transition into the television sphere of it and to be able to learn that side of it, and to be able to just kind of get in and get around even better talent and learn even more. Because the Hardys weren't just the only guys there. You had Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. I looked up to those guys as well. They were there at the time. EC3 was there at the time. So it was cool to be able to work with all those guys.
I'm gonna go back to North Carolina for my final one here to bring it back around there. During the NCAA tournament, I saw you tweet about how they would bring the televisions in for everybody to watch. And again, growing up North Carolina, knew about this the entire time. We have a run in from the biggest star on this show, Harlem.
Say hi to Trevor Lee. Okay.
Oh, she's gonna take the headphones. She's gonna.
What's up?
Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you.
She likes to just pop in on the show randomly, say hi to everybody, and then show off whatever she's eating or doing anything.
That's her gimmick.
You tweeted about bringing the TVs in for college basketball, and I know plenty about this. I was shocked to learn this was not a thing across the country, because I asked my wife about this, and she's in Ohio. I was like, "Did you guys do this?" She's like, "No, we didn't do this anywhere." And so I don't know if you experienced this, but we had kind of two classes of teachers. One class of teacher would just have the ACC games on. They would put those on during the tournament. The other class of teacher would put on all the games, and that's all we would do all of day.
Yeah.
Was that your experience with this?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, every game was on all day. We maybe had a worksheet that we were supposed to do, but looking back on it, I don't think they were grading it. I think they only cared about the cover and the spread is all I think they cared about. Yeah.
Yeah, we were filling out brackets. We pulled our brackets out. We weren't doing worksheets or anything.
Yeah,
we were making sure our brackets were good.
And it was such a hotbed at that time too for college basketball. With the Tar Heels, with Duke, with Wake Forest, with NC State, right? So it was like a pick your poison of okay, what team are we going to cheer for today that's representing North Carolina, right? So it was very cool. It was pretty interesting, but I don't think it helped with my chances of going to college, but I think it helped with just us not going crazy for a couple days. Yeah.
So my final question, bring it back around to how we started with MLW. So you officially became Major League just a month ago or so. What went into that decision to make it official? Because I know you've been working a couple of dates in MLW the last couple of years. So what went into the decision to make it official?
Right. So the appeal to MLW to me was the fact that every show that I've been to so far has been a sellout. That's nice, right? And on top of that, the production and everything looks great as well. And when you're in this business and you're trying to present yourself, it's nice to have companies that will help that presentation, right? So it's nice to be able to go out there and have a company that puts the money in that production process and being able to make it look good as much as we're trying to make it look good. And on top of that, if you look at the matches that they've given me so far, they've given me talent that are all first time matchups for me. My first time wrestling there was against Mystico, the top luchador out of Mexico. Then I got a match with Austin Aries, another guy that I had looked up to, growing up on watching, that early Ring of Honor stuff. So it was cool to be able to get to work with him and to get to have these matches that I've never had, because I'm now 18 years into the business. It's hard to have first time matchups. So that was a huge appeal of that, is that MLW is going to give me the ability to have these first time matchups and then have it in a place where it looks good and people can see it. That's a big deciding factor on that. So very excited to be with MLW. I'm very excited to see what other first time matchups or other matchups that we may have already had but that I'm excited to do. So I'm just excited to see where it goes and what we can do all together.
Trevor, we'll get you out of here on this. We play a game on this channel. It's called Partner Promo Punch in the Face. I'm going to give you 3 names. Pick one to partner with, one to promo against, and one to punch in the face. All right? All right, we're going to go with people you're familiar with, you have history with. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Shane Helms.
Oh, man, this is a hard one. Oh, man, this is a hard one. So I think, oh man, I think I got a partner with Jeff Hardy just because he's going to be the one that comes off the top rope for me. I just got to put the guy down and he'll swanton him. That combo always works. We've seen that through history. That combo will always work. Now here's where it gets pretty hard. Oh man, because oh man, this is hard. I guess to promo against, I would go with Matt, just because he has so many different characters that who knows where the promo could go. We could go off into another dimension, or it could just be a very very bloodline story based, where we just tell our story of Matt Hardy was in the hospital the day that I was born. He saw me be born as a baby. So to be able to look up to him my entire career, and then in this promo battle, he would be looking up to me. But now, unfortunately, that puts us at the part where I got to punch Shane Helms in the face. And the only reason I think that he would be okay with that is because he would probably punch me back even harder. And Shane's just like a funny, witty guy that I don't think I want to have the promo battle with him. And I think he might eviscerate me. He does a lot of stand-up comedy as well. So if you know anything about stand-up comedians, they don't have a line, and he might hurt me worse than having any match with him. So unfortunately, Shane, I got to punch you in the face, brother.
We only ask the hard questions around here.
That's right.
We appreciate you joining us today. Let everybody know where they can find you at and what you got coming up.
Yeah, so you can follow me on X or on Instagram. Both I think are Trevor Lee Pro are my handles. But try to find this MLW stuff that we're going to be putting out, because we got some good stuff ready to go. And when it starts to come out, there's going to be a lot of good content for you people to see. If you're in the Chattanooga area and you're seeing this, come check us out. It's our first time in the town, and I think you'll be very happy with the product that you see, because every MLW show that I've been to, the crowd seems that they're very happy to be there, and they seem that they have a very good time. We have a pretty deep roster now in MLW, a lot of new talent as well. A lot of guys that you'll see that are kind of popping off on the independent scene are now getting picked up by MLW. So it'll be another place to kind of showcase not just my talent, but a lot of other people's talent as well. So check us out, man. And MLW, you can find them, I'm sure, on every social network, Major League Wrestling. They're pretty easy to find. So just give us a shot and see what you like.
MLW, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Saturday, May 9th. You can go to MLWlive.com for tickets. Tickets are $10, folks. You won't get that anywhere else. So tickets are affordable. Bring the family out there. Trevor, thank you again for doing this today. We appreciate you. Good luck with everything moving forward, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
There you go, everybody. Trevor Lee joining us here. Very excited to talk to Trevor again. Trevor was somebody that I wanted to talk to, being in North Carolina as well. We got to ask him some North Carolina specific questions, and it was really fun. I wanted to ask about the Haunted House of Horrors match, because it was very Dungeon of Doom like kind of camp, and that's extremely my shit.
That's right up your alley.
Yeah. That's why I was like, this is exactly for me. It's fun, it's campy, and you guys did a great job with it. So that's why I wanted to ask about it. So appreciate Trevor, appreciate MLW for setting all of that up. And now we move forward back to AEW. Anything else on Jericho and Stadium Stampede? I thought it was gonna be like a one-on-one Stadium Stampede match, which I'm like, all right, sure. But then they were like, go find 4 guys. I'm like, wait, does that mean the
Yeah,
demands gotta have like another like 2 people?
you
Who's
gotta
gonna
have
be on their
two more
group?
people. Yeah, yeah, you have to
Yeah,
have
and
two. They have to
now
have 2 more people here. So
I mean Jericho's clearly got Lashley and Shelton maybe MVP, but if not MVP, then he's got to find 2 more off of that. It's like what who are they gonna? This is my
I
thought:
don't
is
know.
they're gonna get Brian Keith and Big
Big
Bill? Like
Bill and Brian Keefe.
I don't
I
know which
mean, they
side.
should
I
because
assume the
you have
demand
to
side.
you have to book people more than once every 12 months for them to get any type of reaction if you're going to give them a title match on an episode of Dynamite Collision, Tony Khan. So I would love for Brian Keefe to have this appearance last night and it leads to something bigger for him at the pay-per-view. That would be nice.
Yeah, I think they just need to wrap up the whole because that's been one thing that's it doesn't like bug me because I don't care that much, but I'm also just like Jericho came back and there's been no reference to Brian Keith and Big Bill except the last
Nope.
time we saw him on TV was I'm not coming back until you guys prove yourself and are ready and all of this stuff and you figure it out. And they clearly haven't figured it out because they've been on TV like 3 times in the past year. But there's just been no reference to that. So it would be nice if they like just kind of bookended and wrapped up that story. I don't think it's going to lead to anything for Brian Keith and Big Bill.
Yeah.
I think it would just be a way to we're going to end this story, and that's going to be that. But yeah, this
They
doesn't
can
need to be a
they
Stadium
they've
Stampede
already
match.
set up the fact that the demand have some type of connection with the Don Callis family. So it could be
Yeah.
just 2 members from the Don Callis family added to the demand.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need this to be a Stadium Stampede match. It's so random.
It doesn't make any sense. Like you have the story with the whole Osprey storyline, which I find intriguing. I'm seeing that not a lot of people are liking it as much as I am, and of course I do a podcast every week with Jimmy Macaram who hates John Moxley, so you know he doesn't like it. But I find it intriguing, but it's not connecting with everybody. But it would have made sense for that storyline to lead to a Stadium Stampede with the Death
Yeah.
Riders and the Ops at the very least.
Yeah, you could have done that. Like, they've done some combination of this Dogs and Death Riders duo against,
Yeah.
the Rascals or the Bang Bang Gang or the Young Bucks. Like, do something.
Could have
with
led to that.
is-
Yeah, it could have led to
yeah.
that. And the Bucks would be awesome in the stadiums there. The Bucks have been awesome, period, in 2026. So put them in there, and that's a much better matchup. Like I didn't think that Jericho Trios matchup was as good as as I guess AEW thought it was.
Well, that's what they're going with. Anyway, real quickly on Brian Keith. Yes, he faced Okada for the Continental title. And Scorpio Sky beat Brian Keith quicker than Kazuchika Okada, so maybe Scorpio Sky should get a title shot. This match did not need to be 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
It did not need to be 10 minutes, and it did not need to be in front of this crowd. This crowd was better than Fresno, but not by much. Not by much. This was one of the weaker crowds. And altogether, my overall thoughts on last night's show is this was a very good 2-hour show stretched out upon 3 hours, which made it just kind of a mid show by Dynamite standards, at least.
Yeah, the crowd wasn't good, but also there wasn't like a ton of stuff you could like really sink your teeth into on this show overall, and I think the reactions kind of generated that as well. And this was what we talked about a few weeks ago, maybe it was even last week, of you don't got a 50-50 stuff. There's no reason for Brian Keith and Kazuchika Okada to have a competitive 10-minute match when Brian Keith isn't going to be on television for doing anything substantial for another year and hasn't been on television doing anything substantial for like 2 years now. Yep. It's okay if Okada beats him in 5 minutes. It's not going to hurt Brian Keith because you're not actually doing anything with Brian Keith. So it's
And
not
it
a
makes
big
Okada
deal.
better for what you wanted to do with
Yes.
him after this. Like, it just
Yes.
didn't make any sense for that to go 10 minutes. It's like you're going 10 minutes and all you're really doing is making Okada lesser. You're not doing anything whatsoever. This is what I feared a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the whole Okada and Takeshita at Double or Nothing. They are literally doing what I said they were going to do. They just think, oh, this is going to be a great match. So why does it matter? It doesn't need a build. It's going to be a great matchup. And you cannot do that. They have just been, this might go down as one of like the worst booked feuds in AEW history because it was so hot 6 months ago. Everybody wanted to see Okada versus Takeshita, but the first mistake they made was giving it away in the semifinals instead of the finals of the Continental Classic. And then they sat on their hands about the whole story for like 2 to 3 months. And now they're trying to bring it back. They reheated it up successfully at Dynasty. And that gave them the path to make the matchup for Double or Nothing. And then they proceed to just sit on their goddamn hands again with all of this. It's so annoying because I love both guys. And I know it's going to be a great match at Double or Nothing. But you have to actually build it. You can't just depend on it. Oh, it's going to be a great match. Doesn't need to get built. Oh, we can do a 1 minute segment where Takeshita says he needs to focus on defending the international championship and just skate on by. Like, oh, come on. It's so annoying. It's so frustrating. Like, this is the thing. I put this on social media and I already had people coming at me being like, oh, AEW has 1 3-hour show and everybody wants to complain. It's like, no, it's the 3-hour show and how you pace a 3-hour show. It makes a lot of their issues more glaring. But these are issues that we talk about every week on this podcast. These are issues I talk about every week with Jimmy McAree on AE Rebel. This is issues I talk about on True Hill Heat Flagship podcast. So I talk about this about 3 times a week. AEW is not perfect. AEW is basically the equivalent of like 1999 WWF or WWE in 2023, 2024, where the main event program is going very, very well. You are elevating people into the main event picture. Your AEW World Championship scene feels vibrant. It feels unpredictable. There's twists and turns. Darby Allin's having this great reign. MJF's a Wrestler of the Year candidate and one of the best characters in pro wrestling today. So it's a rising tide that can carry all the ships. But all these ships got holes in it and it's getting flooded the whole entire time. You got stories like Moxley and Ospreay that I said before, I enjoy, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that Ospreay came back wanting to kill these guys and now he's being trained by them. And after he got his ass kicked at the pay-per-view, then you got Okada and Takeshita that was red hot 6 months ago. I was up on this podcast saying that it's the best story, best feud in AEW, maybe in pro wrestling. And now you've sat on your hands for 6 months. You've made Takeshita a cuck in his own group that he was the first member of. And Okada is a character that just doesn't seem to care from week to week, only when the pay-per-view is on, and thus the build is non-existent. And then you got the women's division that have completely taken a backseat in 2026, where there's no stories going on. There's no direction. We don't even know who Tekla is going to face at the pay-per-view. Maybe it's Jamie Hayter again, who they barely heated up to get another shot. So it's just frustrating when you watch a 3-hour show when all these things become even bigger to you because how you pace a 3-hour show makes the fault stand out even more, where the only thing worthwhile and noteworthy from this show is the thing that is working, the rising tide once again. It's Darby Allin, MJF, the AEW world title scene, the elevation of Kevin Knight, Okada getting a title shot, Pac getting the title shot. That is good, but everything else stands out at not being as good as that.
Let's get into Kevin Knight and Darby Allin for the World Championship. As you would expect, they had a fantastic match, and Darby got revenge for Kevin Knight stealing his spot. Didn't really steal it, but getting his spot in the Continental Classic because Darby got hurt And so Kevin Knight came in as the replacement. No, Jack Perry was the replacement. What am I talking about? Kevin Knight hurt him in the Continental Classic. That was the last match that he had. That's where I meant to go on that. But fantastic match. I was a little surprised that it wasn't a Last Supper pin or a Scorpion Deathlock for the pin, for the submission, considering Kevin Knight's leg, and he just beat him with the coffin drop. But they did have a great match overall.
Yeah, I thought it was an awesome performance by Kevin Knight, who basically just took from the Darby Allin repertoire of just taking every single risk possible and just showing the hell out in this matchup in so many great spots. And this has been kind of the theme of the Darby title reign, is there's so much notable moments in these matches. Like I talked about a few weeks ago with the whole Darby and Tommaso Ciampa. I'm still thinking about the dive into the timekeepers area that busted Ciampa open, or the psycho driller to the floor. Last week with Brody King, I'm still thinking about the tope suicida where he bounces off Brody, and the code red on the table, and the coffin drop on the concrete. And then this week, I'm thinking about Kevin Knight doing a Hurricane Rana and Darby taking that sick bump on the floor, and then the suicidal freaking springboard clothesline from the ring to the announce table. That was incredible. Kevin Knight's ability to sell the leg is really getting really well done between last week with the matchup with MJF, and then this week with Darby, and the risk of doing the springboard clothesline to the announce table coming back to hurt him because it re-aggravated that same knee that he injured the week prior. And thus when he hits the coast to coast drop kick, which is the same move that took out Darby Allin, and then he follows up with the UFO splash, he's not able to capitalize, and thus Darby has enough energy to kind of come back and get the win with back-to-back coffin drops. So fantastic storytelling, another terrific matchup, another straight up banger in Darby Allin's title reign, and they are booking this so well. It's so well done, and you know, I'm loving what Darby Allin has been able to do once again, proving me and Jimmy McElrain right when we call Darby Allin the greatest TV wrestler of all time.
I like that the matches have, this is not a big surprise or anything, but they've played to the strengths of kind of Darby's opponent in how they face Darby, in that Ciampa kind of all around. And so he did things you would sort of expect him to do, to like the high risk stuff when it comes to kind of taking out Darby. Like the psycho driller off of the top rope. Brody, big dude, he just tossed Darby around, and Darby just falling off of him, just big strikes, things like that. It's like, okay, Darby can't be tossed around by Kevin Knight. So how can Kevin Knight try to bump Darby without, looking like a big powerhouse or anything like that? It's like, oh, well, let's just have Kevin Knight use his athleticism and also do high flying stuff to bump Darby. And so the springboard clothesline made a lot of sense from that, and the Hurricane Rana made a lot of sense. So it's unsurprising that they're doing it in this way. But Darby matches can, I don't want to say become easy, but they can look easier because he's just so willing to do anything and make his opponent look so good with the bumps that he takes. That, look, if Kevin Knight wanted to just throw Darby over the top with a press slam, he probably could do that, but that isn't exactly like a Kevin Knight type of strength. So they are playing into the actual strength of the performer against Darby and how they kind of bump around. So I do appreciate that when it comes to Darby. Before we get into the MJF challenge, we already have two of the next opponents for Darby. We have Pac on Saturday and Okada on Wednesday. So Darby's just doing his own little mini Continental Classic here.
He really is. He is making up. He's basically facing all the people he was supposed to face in the Continental Classic this year. Exactly. If Kyle Fletcher was around, it would have been Kyle Fletcher instead of Kevin Knight, because you remember when Kyle was the TNT champion, he said that he wanted a shot at the world title, and we all know that now that the Darby Allin title reign was planned months in advance, so it was probably supposed to be Kyle Fletcher this week, and then Okada, and then Pac. Those are all the people he was supposed else to face in the Gold League of the Continental Classic. So he's basically making up for that lost time. That's one thing that I wish they would have done more, either on commentary or with like a video package, is go back to that first matchup in the Continental Classic with Kevin Knight and Darby Allin and talk about how Kevin Knight took him out. I know commentary mentioned it, but I don't think they really drove it home. And the fact that you see Darby take all these sick bumps every week, but I wish the matchup would have built a little bit better to the coast-to-coast drop kick, because that is the move that took out Darby Allin finally. After Mount Everest couldn't take him out, the Death Riders took him out for a little bit, but then he came back. It was Kevin Knight that took him out with that coast-to-coast drop kick. I think they could have built to that better. It would have been even a better matchup, but like I said, tremendous matchup. Another instant TV classic from Darby Allin, who's killing it right now as AEW World Champion, and now he's going to face Pac after Pac talked about that he's 2-1 against Darby in AEW, and he says that he's earned a title shot because of that. Okay, would have been nice if he actually won a singles match before that, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Beggars can't be choosers. That should be a lot of fun. They always have great matches with each other. I love their matchup at Maximum Carnage earlier this year when Darby took that sick belly to belly suplex on the steps. Amazing stuff. So that should be another great matchup at Fairway to Hell, and it makes that a more watchable show because of it. And then the Kazuchika Okada, that's one matchup I'm interested in seeing, because we've seen Darby like have different type of stories, like you said with the Tommaso Ciampa. It was more kind of them just battering each other. Then he got tossed around and ragdoll and physically bruised by Brody King. Then he had someone who was willing to out Darby Allin and Kevin Knight, and now he has someone who's more of like a technical based wrestler or a timing type of guy. So it should be interesting how he's going to work with Okada next week.
I do think that more people should just be like, I want a title shot after beating whoever you beat, because clearly Darby's willing to do it. I mean, Okada ain't beating anybody. Ciampa beat like Leo Rush or Ace Austin.
Desmond
wanted
Xavier.
a title shot. Is
And
that
Juice
okay?
Robinson.
Sure.
He was on a winning streak. He won 5 of his last 6.
Sure. Nobody's beating anybody. They're just like, I want a title shot. Darby's like, okay, no problem. This is where MJF is screwing up. MJF just needs to beat a couple of people. He's not willing to fight anybody. And
No.
he just wants his rematch. Now he's got to put his hair on the line. How surprised were you when that ended up being the stipulation?
I like it. I think I did mention this on AE Ramble. I don't know if I mentioned it here, that could be a possibility, because I know on AE Ramble we were talking about different things they could put up, and we had people in the chat being like the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and I love Darby's answer to that. Like, why would he care about that? Like, no one cares about that. Someone else said, I think you that said the scarf?
Yeah, I jokingly said the scarf. I was like, he's just gonna put up the scarf. So I actually love that MJF's first choice was the scarf. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what you should say.
Look at him watching in the weeds. My man MJF watching in the weeds. So yeah, I like that he brought up kind of all the things that different people have said before. Money was interesting to put out there, but I like Darby going after the hair. I wish he could have, like, he didn't have to mention the whole turkey thing, because I feel like that's been kind of low-hanging fruit to the guy who's known for low-hanging fruit with all of that, and would have more leaned into the fact that, oh, MJF, you're not always around because you're in Hollywood and you have this look you're going to maintain. Maybe you go in that direction, or maybe you just say, you care about your hair so much, you put that on the line. I honestly still feel like the you never challenge for the AEW World Championship again feels like a bigger stipulation, but hey, the hair is a nice plan B. So I allow it. It feels like a big type of matchup, hair versus title, that we haven't seen before, at least.
Yeah, it felt like to me that the never challenging for the world title was a bigger stipulation as well, but it also feels like they didn't want to like run that back a month later, 2 months later, because since they just did it with Hangman, and so they probably felt like, I don't know if we can get away with that again. Although I do think there was a story out of that of MJF holds that over MJF holds that over Cody and Hangman of like, I did it, easy dub. You guys couldn't do it. So I'm fine with the hair stipulation. I think it makes it more likely that Darby's going to win. Now, granted, I think that MJF is still going to win, but I didn't think MJF was ever going to lose if it was a world title thing. It's like MJF ain't. He will not be someone who never challenges for the world title again. They'll break that stipulation in like a week, just because.
Yeah, that's why I did like Darby saying we're gonna have a contract signing because we got to. And no, other Mikey, that stipulation is not on Double or Nothing. It's not if Cope and Cage lose, they never get a shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
It's specifically they retire as a tag team. That's something different from never challenging for the AEW World Tag Team Team titles or world title ever again. Cage can challenge with Nick Wayne. Him and his son can reunite, and he can challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles again. Cope can form a tag team with anybody on the roster. He was in the ring with 101 people last night. That he can team up with and go for the tag team titles again. It's different. It's something different. They never team together is different from never challenging for the AEW World Championship. And that storyline and that stipulation works so well with MJF because he's been the reason why two other people have failed at that same stipulation. So that would have been great storytelling to me.
I think that they will eventually do that MJF stip. I gotta believe they're not doing it so quickly after they just did it with Hangman. That's my thought process on this, because as we've mentioned, and you just mentioned, MJF's the reason why two people can't do it. Two of the biggest stars in AEW history can't do it. And MJF is such a little dickhead that him being able to win that type of match, hold it over those two people, and brag about it for the rest of time is something that fits him perfectly. As I was saying, though, I think it makes it more likely Darby will win because, I didn't think they would do an MJF could never challenge for the world title and for the rest of the time. Where if he goes bald, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He might have a movie role booked where they're like, hey, we need you bald. And he's like, yeah, okay, you know what? And hair, I mean, maybe he has to go back to Turkey, but, Yuta, I noticed it last night more than I've noticed over. Like, Yuta's already got like a full head of hair back. Like, that dude was bald for like 2 weeks, I feel like.
It didn't take him long. He wore that hat for like a week, for like 2-3 weeks, and then by the time he took it off, he was only bald for like a week.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, maybe MJF's hair doesn't grow quite like Yuta's hair, but you can, as MJF has shown, go elsewhere and get the hair situated how you want it to get situated and everything. So the bald stipulation like works and for a little while, but it grows back at the very least, unless you want to keep it bald. I mean, Kurt Angle went bald, and he's like, you know what, this looks great. I'm just gonna keep it this way. I'm not even gonna
keep it like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. So, I do think it opens up the realm of possibility of Darby actually winning, and while with this stipulation of MJF being bald, would be probably lead to some very funny television.
I think that this stipulation does open the door for Darby to potentially win. Like you said, it could be he's filming a movie or he's just willing. I thought that they were going to put him. Remember, I think I said this on the show back in last summer when he was feuding with Mystico, and it was obvious they were going to do his the mask on the line. I thought they were going to do mask versus hair then, but it came back around. It came back around, and he's putting it up against Darby for the AEW World Championship. I loved his reaction. He's just the best character right now for me personally in all of wrestling, because he is such like all of his flaws are just so apparent, and how he like reacts to everything. He's very insecure, and he's obviously insecure about his hair. So as soon as that is put on the line, he had no answer. He couldn't even accept the challenge. He was like, "Oh, show up to the contract signing next week or you're never going to get another shot." And he just left. I'm out of here. And like he doesn't even want to deal with it. And it should lead to some fun interactions between him and Ricochet on social media, with Ricochet being like, it's okay to be bald.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't go too far, because hopefully they'll be okay on there.
No, they fine when they interact with one another.
Yeah,
It's
but
when they
MJF
interact with fans.
MJF might say some shit of like a reference though, because
Oh.
yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
MJF would do
yeah.
that. Yeah,
He would. He can get away with it. I don't know if Ricochet can. But
Yeah.
yes, I just love MJF's character right now. So yeah, I think it is a good choice to go in, because it leaves some room. Because I think if MJF did put up never challenging for the AEW World Championship again, I think that kind of gives away that he's definitely going to win that, because you can probably live in the world where Hangman Adam Page has that stipulation holding over his head. You can't live in a world where MJF does, whereas you could see MJF shaving his head and being bald more than that.
You mentioned the Death Riders and Osprey. They were training. I did like the Yuta is doing crunches on Osprey's neck and back effectively.
Yeah, necklace.
Like, okay, that's something. And Moxley's talking to him about you could
Death
have
ground.
death ground. And if your neck isn't right, you can it's over. You can hang out and get paid like the rest of these dudes. But I know you're not like that. You wanna actually work for it. You wanna be there, and you mentioned the death ground and actually compete, and it's hard, but you can do this. And then Marina does the towel gimmick again. I guess Osprey's fine off of this because they do the segment.
The doc said it's working.
Yeah, the doctor is like, he went to Japan against doctor's orders, but he came back and he's actually looking better than he is. And like, okay. And then the ops is Samoa Joe later in the night talked about how he wanted to bring in Osprey and how they're still kind of the offer, and he can put Osprey in a position to succeed like he's done with Hook, who is going to go film a movie. And he will continue.
You see, this is what I do for people. I have connections.
Like, I got connections. Hook's gonna film a movie. We're gonna make Anthony Bowens relevant again. And here's Shibata. And he once again extended the offer to Osprey. And if he doesn't accept it, he will punch him.
Feels like we're heading towards Samoa Joe versus Will Ospreay. That's at Double or Nothing now.
Yeah. Wait, okay. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that match. I don't need this to pick up because I'm still very much in a let it play out scenario with Ospreay and the Death Riders. It does feel a little like it's starting to feel too much of Ospreay is like too trusting to this group.
Yes.
Like I wish there was just a little bit more almost like hesitancy towards it. But again,
I wish that he would like put down his own terms, because he heard their terms. So I would like if he would be like, I'm just gonna learn what I need to learn from y'all. But I wanted some of that energy that he brought to Callum Newman, where he was very adamant, I am not and will never be a Death Rider. And he did say that when he had the segment with Doc Samson and Renee Paquette later in the show. But I would like him to have that type of energy towards them. Like, I appreciate everything you're giving to me, and yes, I'm going to use this teachings to be the ultimate weapon like you want me to be, but I'm not part of your group. I'm not going to be a part of your group. I have a deadline for this. I'm trying to get right so I can get back into the ring, so I can go after the AEW World Championship. But this is a business arrangement. This ain't personal, like you said. Like, I think turning that around and having Ospreay be the one that this is just business, it's not personal anymore type of thing. When it comes to the training, I think that would be a nice little kind of progression of his character.
Do you think these segments were filmed before Ospreay went to Japan? Because obviously, like, the Collision segment was filmed before he went to Japan. They did not do that segment before Japan. And so that's why I wonder if these were filmed before he went to Japan. They weren't able to basically play off of what happened with Callum Newman and like that whole reaction. So I can give it a little bit of a pass because of that, in that even though in timeline wise we saw what happened with Callum Newman and how Newman talked to him and how he talked to Newman and that whole interaction. And then we saw what happened here and how Ospreay looked like a completely different person. But in reality wise, all of that was done before this Newman interaction. And so you kind of don't have that story beat to play off of with these segments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't even peep that this could have been filmed before the Japan show, because I just was like, hey, Takeshita and Andrade are back from Japan, so why couldn't Will be back from Japan? I think that it was a pre-tape, but I don't know if it was pre-taped like last week. And I don't know why Will would be still in Japan, but he wouldn't be a part of like Ignition to Dominion, or have any interaction there. Like, why is he still in Japan? That's what I'm wondering, if that's the case, if this was filmed before he went to Japan and wasn't filmed last night.
He could just be, again, still in Japan because he's just chilling over there. It's his birthday today. Maybe he went to the UK. Maybe it wasn't even, he's still technically in Japan. I can see that. Maybe he just went to the UK to take a little bit of time off after the Japan trip. Like, I'm not necessarily saying it's fully he's in Japan. It might just be, it was not a live thing that they did, because it was a pre-tape thing. It was all backstage kind of stuff. And he did not appear at all in front of the live crowd. Like, it was all just backstage stuff, while everybody else, you mentioned, Takeshita came out, Andrade came, like, they were actually up in front of the live crowd with everything. So, this felt like this was filmed before he went away. And so because of that, the context is a little bit different, in that you don't have all the story with Newman to play off of. So hopefully next week, Ospreay is like actually back, and we can see a little bit of a difference in his attitude when it comes to how he interacts with the Death Riders.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I guess like the whole segment with him saying he's possibly being cleared might lead into him wrestling next week, so that we can see him in front of the crowd. So you're probably right that he probably wasn't there and they filmed this ahead of time. So we'll see. I would have to look at Renee Paquette's outfit too. If she's wearing the same outfit there as she was in all the rest of the segments, then it was filmed last night.
Wait,
let me look. Let me look. I'm gonna look.
Maybe they told Renee of like, hey, go change outfits, and then we'll just sync it up
and just wear the same outfit next week.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So she's wearing like a green jacket and kind of shorts and a white top in the segment with Doc Samson. Let's see what she was wearing otherwise. I like how this is our research of
that's also right. Other Mikey, thank you. He's saying that she wasn't sick. She didn't have the sore throat like she did last week in that segment.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, look, maybe he was actually there. But okay, so hold on. Maybe he was actually there for that segment, but the Death Rider segment was filmed.
And I'm willing to be like, yeah, you're probably right with that. But she's wearing the whole green. Let me see. That was last night.
She is wearing
the Doc's name.
She's wearing the same thing. Yeah.
I just scrolled the AEW page and she's wearing the same Brodito segment.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was more getting at the Death Rider segments, not necessarily the Doc Samson segments, since we were talking about how he interacted with Newman compared to how he interacted with Moxley. And it was a little bit different. So I think the Death Rider stuff may have been filmed before. Now, why they couldn't just refilm it, considering he potentially was there, don't know. But they they didn't, or maybe we're completely wrong. Maybe this was shot live or whatever, and the character just didn't have the consistency from how he interacted with Newman
need Osprey to have more agency. I think someone said that in the chat. More agency and more kind of a thorough direction where it doesn't feel like he basically I know that Samoa Joe joked about it last week, but he is showing all signs of Stockholm syndrome. He really is. He is basically now taking the help from the people that tried to murder him.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say fair. You know, they couldn't kill you, so may as well just let them help you out there. I was trying to look at Osprey's shorts. This is how deep I'm going into this.
Could we even see his shorts in the?
Yeah. He wore shorts in the training segment, but you can't see his legs in the backstage segment. So I don't know if he's wearing shorts or pants. He's wearing a shirt in the training segment, and he's wearing no shirt in the backstage segment. So it's tough
He sweated out of that shirt. He sweated out of that shirt doing the training.
Tough to tell. I'm trying to hold on.
And Moxley wears the same thing every week.
Yeah, I was like, you can't surmise anything off the Death Riders. Like, here's a fucking white T-shirt, and they all wear the same shit, so you don't know anything. Can't figure out anything off of them.
You also had John Moxley. He picked up a win over Juice Robinson in the opener. I thought this was decent, just not as good as like their New Japan matches. I feel like they haven't had the same matchup since their first match in New Japan.
Yeah,
and I think that's mainly because Moxley being outside of WWE, that's his first matchup outside of WWE, and it was just different. He just brought a whole different energy to there. He was highly motivated going into that matchup. Juice Robinson of 8 years ago is not the Juice Robinson that he is today, where Juice Robinson was trying to kind of really prove himself back in 2019, and he really just had an awesome play job in that matchup as well. I do love the fact that we've gotten back to Moxley can bleed off of the littlest things. I think he just got like thrown into the steel steps and started bleeding in this matchup. So I thought it was solid, but just not on the kind of the same level of their previous matches.
Main event, multi-man schmoz match with the Young Bucks and the Bang Bang Gang defeating the Dogs and the Death Riders. I thought Moxley was very fun on commentary. This was a fun, again, everyone gets a little shine type of match at the end of a 3-hour show, and the Death Riders lose. And if I'm John Moxley, I'm beating the shit out of all these dudes.
He's like, Yuta, you lost 2 weeks in a row? Get the hell out of here. I like they gave Ace Austin. It feels like Tony has finally got a liking to Ace Austin. This is the most consistent I've seen Ace Austin booked since he signed with AEW. He was on last week's Dynamite against Kazuchika Okada. Then he was on Collision in the tag match with Juice versus Wheeler and Garcia. And now this week he's in the main event on the 3rd hour of Collision on this night. And he got the win as well. So it seems like Tony is starting to get a liking to Juice, to Ace Austin, and that's nice to see. It feels like the Bang Bang Gang are becoming kind of like regular, consistent parts of AEW television again, and that's also nice to see. I'm just waiting for big old switch to come back and make them feel like a full family. But it's nice to see the Bang Bang Gang a lot more often than we were previously. This matchup, though, I thought it was good, just not on the level of the last 2 weeks of Collision, where those multi-man matches have been freaking killer. All killer, no thriller. When we get to best matches, I'm going to mention the Collision match from last week. Last week on best matches, I had that matchup with the Dogs and the Death Riders versus the Young Bucks and the Rascals. So Yeah, they've been killing it, dogs and Death Riders in these 10-man tags. This just wasn't at that level, and mainly it's because you're coming at the end of a 3-hour show when the crowd wasn't good to begin with, and then it definitely wasn't going to be good at the end of the 3 hours.
Yeah. Early in the night, Orange Cassidy beat Dax Harwood. I thought Dax Harwood was going to win this match because I thought it made more sense for them to get a trios titles match than, I guess, Roddy and Kyle will get the tag team title match.
So, no, I think it's going to be. I think the stip was just Orange and a member of the conglomeration of his choosing.
Mm-hmm. So well, that makes it even.
Orange.
That makes it even worse. I thought it was going to be Roddy and Kyle. I was like, all right, fine. That makes it even worse. That they should have done the trios match, but Dax Harwood must lose. That's the stipulation here. Yeah, I thought Orange Cassidy was going to lose because it made more sense to me to do FTR and Ciampa getting a trios title match than Orange Cassidy
you,
and
but
partner of his choosing to get a tag team title match.
I'm also on the same page with Mikey, where it's just like Orange never loses.
And Dax always loses. I get it. I know. I get it. I know Orange never loses, and Dax
especially
against
a guy like Dax's level that never does really singles matches all that often. I was like, yeah, this is a chance that Orange gonna win this. The right decision is Dax winning it to set up the trios matchup, but they're not gonna do the right decision. They're gonna do Orange always wins because he's gonna lose in the tag team title match.
Yeah. Well, I thought the match was like okay. It felt like they were on different pages a couple of times, and
yeah,
that hurt the match. And then like it basically became like a lumberjack match as well.
Yeah, an unofficial lumberjack match at that. So yeah, it was kind of weird. It was like, what? Wait, why did FTR come out with all these people? Was it just to set up that Copeland and Cage and the Young Bucks would be in Orange's corner? Because that feels like the only reason why you're doing this.
Yeah, it was. Again, different pages, kind of just weird energy overall. But Orange Cassidy wins, and then there was a big beatdown at the end on Trent. So sucks for Trent and Rocky.
Yeah, they're always left to get beat up by all the baby faces every single time. So that was kind of there, and it sets up a 10-man tag. Hopefully this 10-man tag is better than this week's 10-man tag. Luckily, Dynamite's going to be back to 2 hours. But yeah, it's a 10-man tag next week with the Bucks, Orange Cassidy, Cope and Cage, FTR, the Dogs, and Ciampa.
Yeah. On the women's portion of the show, for the 5 minutes of time that they got throughout the entire show,
I'm pretty sure the women got like 18 minutes on last night's show, which is a new record for them. Sadly.
I mean, it's a 3-hour show though, so you got to take that into account. It's not a 2-hour show. It's a 3-hour show. Statlander and Sheeta beat Harley Cameron and Mina. Okay, I don't know if there's going to be any progression through all of this. At some point, there's going to be a turn. I thought Mina was going to turn. I have no idea at this point if that's where it's going. I'm not sure they know where it's going. And then
got 22 minutes total between the two women's matches.
All right.
And then you add a minute. You add a minute for the Willow promo. That makes it 23.
Yeah.
Was there any? Oh, and the Harley and Mina promo. So we're at 24 minutes on this.
That match, that promo was not a minute long. That was like 30 seconds.
Hey, that was an awesome minute promo. That was the highlight. But I like the tag team matchup, and I do like this story that is developing with Statlander and Hikaru Shida. I seen someone earlier was like, "Oh, well, that's also legitimately good." It's not on the level of the AEW World Championship picture. Like, that is what I mean. That is great. this is pretty good, but not a lot of people are going to care about it, as seeing from that not so good crowd last night that barely had any interaction with that matchup. It's not going to connect with everybody because they haven't been given the time to, on Dynamite specifically, to tell the story. I do like that they have spread out this story on Dynamite and Collision. So if you watch all of AEW, you kind of are more invested into this story. And I thought they did a lot of good work towards the story on Collision last week. But the matchup, yeah, it's kind of just fine. It's kind of just fine. It wasn't anything to write home about. But I do like the combination of Harley and Mina together.
And then Jamie Hayter beat Sky Blue. And I guess we're doing Jamie Hayter and Thekla again, because I don't know where else they're going with this. I didn't mind this match. It was actually.
This was a good. This was.
I was gonna say it was one of the matches I enjoyed more of the night, besides Kevin Knight and Darby. I was like, hell yeah, they're just beating the shit out of each other. This rules.
There was like 3 good matches on this show, like legitimately good, no really like issues with it. Of course, Kevin Knight and Darby was great, but there was like 2 other good matches on the show, and I thought it was the 10-man tag main event and then this match. Jamie and Sky Blue just beat the crap out of each other, and I like the fact that they put over Sky by having Jamie use a freaking super haterade. I think that's the first time I've seen her do that, the super haterade, to get the win.
And then Jamie and Thekla address each other, and she tries to use Sky Blue.
They missed Jamie giving her a second haterade.
Yeah, she tried to use like Sky Blue as bait, but then they didn't show like what she was doing to Sky Blue, and all of a sudden Sky Blue was just like still down, and everybody was like, what happened here? And that was that. I hope this goes somewhere.
Yeah,
I like.
Mikey's right. Speedball and AR Fox was fun. It was fun.
Sure, that match was the most who's backstage that we can put into a wrestling match I've ever seen. That's
what I said. That's why I only included those 3 matches and not that one, because AR Fox is awesome whenever he's given a chance, but he is so infrequently used that it does hurt your ability to get invested in his matches when he's on AEW Dynamite or Collision.
Yeah, no offense to AR Fox and Brian Keith, who are both great, but the crowd has no reason to care about either of them. And it's not even like, hey, go out there and have a great match, and like they do have a great match and maybe they win the crowd over by the end of it. It's, they're gonna lose, they lose, and then they're gonna be off television for a year after this. So like, what's the point of even trying to believe we're gonna get behind this guy? And when you have people like that you're putting in these spots, like, even if the match is good, it's just tough to invest. And then when you have the crowd that they have, it's just like, well, we're really not going to invest in any of this. This was a crowd where you needed your top tier stuff throughout, and like really big matches. And this show didn't like have those matches for the most part, outside of Darby and Kevin Knight. You could kind of talk yourself into Juice and Moxley, as maybe it goes to like a time limit thing. Otherwise, that was about it, right? What else was announced? They announced all these other matches like 2 minutes before the show started.
The Double Jeopardy.
Yeah, the Double Jeopardy match
was hyped up last week. But yeah, I put out the tweet last night. I was like, the 3-hour shows are not, they can't do 3-hour shows if you have so many of your like top stars who are basically healthy DNPs. You got Kenny Omega's taking time off. You got Swerve, who's only being used in pre-tapes. You got Mercedes Moné, who's being off television the entire year. You got Hangman Adam Page, who's taking a break ever since Revolution. Like, it's too many of your top stars, and thus you're putting out people who are absolutely freezing cold to the audience, like AR Fox and Brian Keefe. It's like it's just not going to work. And then you already are having an issue overall with your women's division, where these crowds are not even willing to invest anymore because you don't seem you want to invest any time into your women's division. So why the hell are you asking the crowd to care? Like, they don't care if you don't care. That's how it kind of working, especially with a crowd like this that was already not the best or not even decent. So you're just climbing an uphill battle. And that's why I said this 3-hour show really kind of emphasized a lot of the issues that is going on within AEW.
All right, SP3, do you have a moment of Wednesday?
My moment of Wednesday had to be Kevin Knight's leaping a springboard clothesline from the ring to the table.
That's a good choice. That was probably what I was going to pick. So now I have to think of a backup moment of Wednesday.
How you know?
My moment of Wednesday was Tony Khan. Tony Khan keeping professional wrestling on TNT and TBS and being an all-in billionaire who cares about pro wrestling, just like Ted Turner, who sadly passed away yesterday. But we would not know the greatness of Ted Turner if it wasn't for Tony Khan. Thank you, Tony Khan.
Thank you. And Tony loves golf. Yes, he loves golf. So
that was actually hilarious. That video with him at the golf course.
Previewing the fairway to hell.
Yeah, that was actually that gave me big when he used to do those TNA promo vibes. Like that's how that felt, of like, yeah, let's go to an on location shot for Tony to kind of preview things. Like, he wasn't, taking shots at him, he was taking shots at the hole, but he wasn't like in a full on character. But yeah, those like location shots with Tony are very funny, and this one was very good. I hope Fairway to Hell's good. I hope they do some cool stuff with it. I'm looking forward.
Well, Darby and Pac is going to deliver. So even if it's a one match show, it will stand out because it's only 1 hour.
I don't care about the wrestling on this show. I want them to do cool stuff with the golf.
Oh God,
that's what I care about. Use the venue, use the environment. Like, that's the stuff I want to see. There's great wrestling matches all the time, and watch a great wrestling match every single week. Do some cool shit, some funny shit. When some cool shit, man. Yeah. Do you have matches of the week, SP3?
I do. As usual, it's Thursday. You know what that means. It's time for best matches of the week. All right. So I have one honorable mention from Mystico and El Desperado versus the Ichiban Sweet Boys from Wrestling Dontaku Day 2. Really great matchup. I thought Mystico and Despy made for a good team in the first time out, and winning the IWGP Tag Team Junior Tag Team Championships was kind of a surprise to me, but I enjoyed the matchup a lot. All right, number 10, I went with Ray Phoenix versus Laredo Kid from the AAA on Fox show. Great matchup, to the point that the fans started throwing change into the ring, showing their gratitude for the excellent matchup. Also from that AAA on Fox show, Mini Vikingo versus Vikingo. My Lord, that crowd was on Arena Mexico status for that match. They were fully invested in Mini Vikingo pulling off the upset over their most hated star, El del Vikingo. And it was Wagner 3 who basically cost him the matchup so he can get the victory. But really great stuff. And go out of your way to just watch the one highlight of Mini Vikingo doing a freaking tornillo into a crucifix bomb on the outside of the ring. That's the best spot of the week. I will give it that. Number 8, I went with Cara Noir versus Man Like DeReese from Progress Super Strong Style 16 Day 1. Just a match full with hatred, using steel chairs, the sledgehammer. I love the story that they built with Noir turning heel on DeReese when he won the Progress World Championship last year, and then them going like 8 months of this rivalry, and it all culminating with Noir winning the championship thanks to the sledgehammer that he broke DeReese's title with. So great storytelling there. But even better than that one, number 7, Giselle Shaw versus Kanji from the Progress Super Strong Style 16 Day 2. That was the best matchup of the first ever women's Super Strong Style 16 tournament. And Progress, I have to give them a lot of credit. They put a lot of emphasis on women's wrestling. And in 2026, where the top 2 companies don't seem to put a lot of creative thought into their women's division, and then you got promotions like CMLL who's kind of laxing on the women's division themselves, and unless you are an all women's promotion, you don't see a lot of like quality women's wrestling and creative being put into. It's nice that you see that with Progress, so I got to give them credit. I wanted to give them some love this week. Number 6, Death Riders and the Dogs versus the Rascals in Top Flight from Collision last Saturday. Awesome, just nonstop action, 10-man tag. Number 5, United Empire versus Bishamonten from Dontaku Day 2, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Excellent trios matchup there. I give it 4.25 stars. Darby versus Kevin the Jet Knight from last night's Dynamite. I think it's between like 4.25, 4.5 stars, but right on cue with what Darby Allin has been delivering. TV Match of the Year candidate after TV Match of the Year candidate, and what a performance by Kevin Knight. Jack Perry versus Masquerada Dorada from last week's Collision. Oh man, your boy, that is the best Jack Perry matchup since like early years of Jungle Boy. He went the hell out and they delivered high octane action. The Poison Rana into the freaking Code Red, back and forth, just nonstop. Love that matchup. Number 2, I went with Callum Newman versus Shingo Takagi from Dontaku Day 2. I know a lot of people didn't like all the interferences spot, but I thought this was superb babyface versus heel dynamic, and the crowd ate it up, and the use of Natsupoi in the crowd was great. And number 1, of course, it's easily to predict, Andrade El Idolo versus Yota Tsuji. That is an instant classic. One of the best New Japan matches of the year. I would argue the best New Japan matchup not named Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada from Wrestle Kingdom. They just went out there and told a great story with Tsuji trying to out Lucha Libre, the real Latino man, but Andrade having that history in New Japan Pro Wrestling, being familiar with strong style, pulling out more risk and more violence to get the victory. And that DDT into the ring post, I'm going to be thinking about for months after. And I'm going to be thinking about those chops to the point that Tsuji's chest was bleeding. Just brutal, just absolute brutality throughout that matchup. It has to be the match of the week.
I like your list. I definitely agree with the top match. I mentioned how much I enjoyed that match earlier this week. So, yeah. And anytime Jack Perry gets on there, we're going to be jacking off throughout the entire mention of Jack Perry. Got a couple of super chats. Derice and the Nans. Yes, men like Derice. Reuniting with the Welsh Nans from WrestleMania weekend. He's been all over the place. He's on BBC Breakfast. He's wrestling Cara Noir in the main event. So Derice is kind of blowing up right now. Ryan says less than 12 minutes of women's matches on a 3-hour show. Wow.
It was 22 minutes. 22 minutes altogether with the two.
Yeah, I was gonna say those matches were like they got a little. It definitely wasn't less than 12.
Yeah. The tag team matchup went nearly 13 minutes, and Julia and Sky went 9.5 minutes.
Yeah, Jamie.
So your math is a little off, brother.
Yeah.
All respect.
Yeah, sorry, Ryan.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Anything else before we get out of here, SP3?
I mean, the Knicks are going to win against the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Spurs, not surprisingly, tied up against the Timberwolves. So
Yeah, I wasn't surprised to see that was a blowout either. I was talking with my pal Sammer about it, and we were
Knicks
both
game
like,
was
yeah,
good though.
It was. I was glad that was good. Clearly, the Sixers are better without Joel Embiid, as said by Jaylen Brown. So he was onto something.
Jaylen Brown, just listen to him. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think the Spurs and the Timberwolves are going at least 6, though. I think that's going at least 6, maybe 7. We'll see.
Yeah. I see that.
All right. Anything else?
No, that is it. I'm very tempted to bring back the C-suite next week to talk about LFG though. I'll only talk about LFG. I'm not talking about Evolve anymore because they just steal all my Evolve babies and put them on NXT, and I'm not here on Wednesdays to talk about it.
NXT is Evolve at this point.
Exactly. All my Evolve babies are there. You got Cam Hendricks there now. Evolve and LFG babies. They all go to NXT, and Jeremy and Joel, don't take my suggestion that we should do one day where it's the 3 of us each week, but
What do you want to do? Wednesdays? Is it 3 of us?
No, I think Friday would make more sense.
Middle of the week?
Friday would make more sense because then
Friday?
You wouldn't have to talk about TNA so much, and I could just talk about all the C-suite stuff then.
All right, we'll see. I think Wednesday.
Talk about NXT. You want me to talk about it, and then he just be done with it.
I don't care about NXT. I don't care about TNA either. So, no, I'm looking at it from, this is my like almost ADHD brain kind of kicking in of the book in the week of solo Joel shows, and then you Tuesday, Thursday, and then the middle of the week is all 3 of us. That's how my brain is like firing more than
my brain is being it up of two Joel shows Monday and Wednesday, then me and you Tuesday and Thursday, and then they get the super show on Friday to preview the weekend.
All right. I mean, that makes sense too. We have different ADHD brains.
Yeah, I know. We both have ADHD though.
yeah, exactly. There's many forms of this.
And then we could always switch it up where if it's a pay-per-view weekend, we do Mondays and then do the schedule in reverse.
Oh, that's gonna really confuse me then. That's gonna
it's like I have ADHD. I just established I have ADHD.
Let everybody know where they can find you at SP3.
You can find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I will be live at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with Jimmy Macaram to review last night's AEW Dynamite and Collision. If it wasn't clear from today's show, I did not love Dynamite like I have the last couple of weeks. So God knows what Jimmy Macaram's going to have to say about this show, especially if he actually stayed for the final hour of Collision and
Jimmy
just turn it off after MJF left.
After like a run of like really good to great shows, Jimmy's like that. I forget I don't even know if he has that name, but you know the dude standing by the tree like rubbing his hands like that. You know that meme? Like that's Jimmy right now waiting to do this show. He's like, yeah, mediocre to bad episode of Dynamite. Let's go.
We literally did Go Back series yesterday, and he literally said, it was like, yeah, they've been on a run of good to great shows. I've given like 8 multiple weeks in a row. He was like, it's about time that they ruined that. And that was after the news that dropped of Malachi Black potentially having active negotiations with AEW. And thank God that this wrestling media has Sean Ross Sapp. Thank you to our overlord here at Fightful, because I saw that and my brain just went, why would they be in active negotiations with a guy who's under a 90-day non-compete clause? And why would they want that to be known by media to have it leaked out as a rumor or a report? Like, what are we doing here? There's a reason why this doesn't make sense.
There's a reason why it got reported in the first place and why there had to be a denial as well. I'll let everybody else put these put these puzzle pieces together out there.
Yeah, I tell you, it had something to do with Sama Kaimatini.
Obsessed with her. One of my favorites. Obsessed with her.
Marigold, Marigold.
Obsessed with her. Appreciate you as always, SP3. Myself and Jensen will be back at 6:30. I don't know how long we're gonna go because there's sports on to watch tonight that I want to watch. So that'll be that. Joel and I will be back tomorrow. I guess talking about TNA. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in depending on how my sports go tonight. And if Joel ruins that further by making me talk about TNA. Until then, everybody, thank you again for the sports, all of that fun stuff. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow.